Live from the People Forward Network podcast studio at CultureCon in Madison, Wisconsin, this Fringe episode was created to help you grow your perspective around culture and meaningful work. CultureCon believes that every individual, regardless of role, has the power to make work more meaningful for themselves and their organization. Now, here's some inspiration straight from the amazing leaders and workplaces within the CultureCon community.
Hey, it's Nikki, Llewellyn Gregory back here at CultureCon Live in Madison, Wisconsin. I am so excited to be sitting here today with Joey Williams, and a little birdie tells me that you are HR's fun uncle. There is no shortage of CultureCon giving us the most unique, amazing people leaders to sit here with me. So tell me just a little bit about the HR fun uncle thing, like where this comes from, but also how you got connected to CultureCon.
I spent the majority of my career actually working in accounting. I was the manager of accounts payable and accounts receivable. Somehow I just started when you're younger, you get a job and then you're good at it and then you just keep moving up. And I was kind of just typecast into that role. COVID, when we all took a step back and and did a little reflecting and things during that time period, I was like, I have a lot of years to work left. Is this what I really want to do with the rest of my career? And I decided it was not. So I'm like, what do? I go to leadership that I trusted and said, here's where I'm at, mentally, and what can I do? And I was encouraged to write my dream job. They're like, well, what do you want to do? I said, well, I'm not really sure, but I'll sit down and scratch out some things. So I drafted this great job description that was partially administration and partially HR. And then I presented that and said, thanks, and we moved on. So about 3 months later, I get a call from that same leader, and he's like, I haven't forgotten about you. And I'm like, forgotten about me? I forgot about the whole thing. Well, we're working on some things. Another 3 months passed, and they said, well, we're at a point now, post-COVID, everyone's working remotely or hybrid and these sort of things. And our company as well, as we have grown, we've got teams all across the country. So how do you engage those people? How do you empower those people and things? So culture was extremely important to the company. So they wanted to have someone in a role that would actually help bridge, all of these distances between us. So they posted the job and let me know. You could have just laid my dream job over the top of the job description. And so that's how I ended up in HR. I call myself the fun uncle because I do not have to do, at least to this point, any of the negative, received things that are normally a part of the HR role. So I plan company functions. I go out and do onboarding of new teams. So I'm usually there when it's a fun time to have a little excitement. And how I found CultureCon, when I got into this new role, I immediately thought, well, how can I make connections? How can I get some resources that'll help me, succeed at this role? And so I typed in, is there such a thing as a culture conference? And then boom, up it popped. I came last year. Had an incredible time, met some wonderful people. Nick and Zach kind of just took to me right away. And so they asked me this year if I was coming back. And I'm like, absolutely, I wouldn't miss it. And so then next thing I know, I got hooked up with you. And here we are sitting today having a conversation.
I love this so much. And
I'm living the dream.
I know, right? And I love the topic that we're about to talk about today that we prepared for before coming to Madison, which is about how to give everyone a voice. But before we go there, I just want to give another shout out for the CultureCon experience of this highly relational, just everyone knows Nick and Zach. Everyone feels a personal experience. And I'm telling you, people that haven't even ever met them live, they're like, this is my first time here. But it's like first name basis, have felt so cared for and just walked through the process. And they come to them and say, I know what you're working on. Here's a connection for you. Or this session is going to be really good. It's a really personal experience. So I love that we're here live. The other thing I want to give a shout out for is you advocating for yourself when you got into a place with your career that you're like, I know that there's more. I know that there is a better place for me either in this organization or beyond or whatever, but you're advocating for yourself. And I love fighting for the employee or when I say employee, it could be a leader, whatever level, doesn't matter the tenure, right. Fighting for your place that is your sweet spot. It's not the leader's job only to do that. And all of our engagement efforts, it's us to own our part too. And you did that. And then for Healthpeak Properties to say, Yeah, we've been working on it for weeks, and then creating a position and helping you get to a place that you're now everyone's HR fun uncle or culture fun uncle. It's so awesome.
Kudos to the leadership, because when I went with these concerns, they could have easily said, well, this is your job. This is what role we need you in. But they valued me as an employee. They valued me, my skill sets, and they gave me a chance.
Yes.
They took a chance on me.
Yeah. And, assessments help a lot. I love assessments to help to get to know people, particularly those that I get to work with on my team. But it's never going to tell the story like the individual person, right? We have to advocate for ourselves. So just so much goodness there in your journey. Now, let's talk about how to give everyone a voice. So let's do a little, starting with a self-reflection for those listening. Let's highlight, Joey, from your angle, some of the bad habits that we just kind of fall into when it comes to, taking away from the ability to help everyone have a voice. Like, what are some of the things we're doing that we might be overlooking, just so that all of us that are listening, and myself too, can do a little reflection exercise?
In my opinion, giving everyone a voice at work is so important if we want to build a truly collaborative and inclusive environment. But to get there, we've got to break some habits that often keep us stuck in a siloed decision-making mode. For me, and in my experience over the years, the top 3 bad habits start with limiting communication channels. The bad habit, we often tend to rely on top-down decision-making or use limited channels that just don't allow everyone a chance to chime in when the questions are being asked. And how do we break that? We must open things up. Whether it's through cross-department meetings, open forums, on digital platforms, we just need to make sure everyone has a chance to share their ideas and their advice. Number 2, ignoring feedback from the front line. This is a big one for me. Sometimes we forget to listen to the boots on the ground, the folks who are really in the trenches every day, doing the work, using the platforms. They need to have a voice as well. So how do we break that bad habit? We flip it around and make it a habit to actively seek out what our teams are seeing and what they're experiencing. Their insights are often pure gold. And we need to make sure that we're not only asking, but also paying attention to the answers they give and considering that input. And then lastly, I think a big bad habit is neglecting follow-up. We must do better here. Why ask for feedback if you're not going to actually utilize it, or at least communicate why you weren't able to make those requested changes or implement, policies, at least not at this time. So we got to close the loop, letting people know that decisions were made, how their input played into that decision-making process. And it's basically just all about showing that what they say does truly matter.
So many of those just resonate with me. I'm just thinking through examples. And, one just quick reflection is to not overlook the power of a very quick conversation that can be so meaningful. I feel like we put things off, or let's schedule a meeting in a couple of weeks. It's but could we just hop on the phone and talk for 5 or 10 minutes? And the power of having just this one conversation, this touch with someone, I think is often overlooked for, it's got to be this big elaborate thing. And it's it could really just be wanted to just check in and see how you're doing.
And I've learned in this role, some of the smallest things that I do are some of them I get the biggest responses. I handwrite birthday cards and send it out to each team member on their birthday. The amount of people who reach out, you wrote a handwritten card? That's not a thing anymore. Some of the 20-somethings, they're like, I got your letter. I'm like, well, it wasn't a letter, it was a card, but it's just so uncommon anymore to take that extra time and just give that personal touch.
Yes. The simple things that I think are often overlooked. There's so much power in these smartphone devices that all of us carry around. You can do a quick audio message of encouragement, just in between. Even if you can't have the call, it's you're following up, like you said, to say, I know last week was really challenging. I just want to do a quick check-in. I saw, fill in the blank, this effort, and just wanted to recognize that. And it's just an audio message. It goes further than a text because it's not just written, but I love that you're just mentioning those things that all of us, including myself, can learn to just take some action and do some really meaningful things with 5 minutes of time, right? To get that impact. So, okay. So tell us, this topic of how to give everyone a voice, or just the importance of giving everyone a voice, right? Why is this so important to you personally?
I like that question, and thank you for allowing me to answer. This topic is so close to my heart because for decades, I worked at companies where I was made to feel that my input didn't really matter. I know what it's like to sit in meetings bursting with ideas or suggestions or concerns, but being afraid and feeling like speaking up was pretty much pointless. But in recent years, I've had the privilege of working with some truly incredible leaders who showed me that that simply wasn't true. They encouraged me time and time again to share my thoughts, my observations, and my experiences with them. And it's been nothing short of liberating and empowering. And now I want to be that person to others. I want to share this experience that I've had with everyone who feels like I once felt. The introverts, who may be too afraid to speak up, the neurodivergent who might learn, think, or behave differently, or even those who simply feel like they have nothing valuable to contribute. All have something valuable to contribute. I believe everyone deserves to be a part of the process, even if they don't want to be having the spotlight shining on them. We still need to give them a voice somehow. And I'm so passionate about advocating for all these voices. And I feel incredibly blessed to be in a position where I can make a difference for others. Servant leadership, I think a lot of people call that. That's what I kind of cling to. At this point in my career, I often think the lyrics from a Tim McGraw song that says, when you get where you're going, don't forget to turn around and help the next one in line. That's exactly where I'm at right now. I've been helped all along the way, and now it's my turn to do the same for others.
Well, if that is not inspiration, gosh, I'm just holding back from getting emotional over here. And so good. And so I'm so glad that you get to share your voice in this CultureCon series because it's, important for others to just learn the power of sharing in our experiences and being able to help the next person. But also, I think at Healthpeak Properties, they should see how taking the time to create this role. I mean, I can only imagine just hearing you right now, the impact that it's making inside the organization, which leads me to what's been happening. So what are some of the ways that you are including voices from across the company at Healthpeak?
Great question. At Healthpeak, we are committed to making sure that everyone's voice is heard. And the approach to this is done in a lot of different ways. For starters, we regularly host town hall meetings with our CEO and other members of leadership. These are fantastic opportunities for the entire team to connect directly with and have some face time with our leaders and ask questions of importance to them and get answers in real time. We can't all be in the same room, but we do host viewing parties and we do it all remotely. So someone asks questions, live. When we're faced with bigger decisions, we tend to form focus groups and bring together diverse perspectives. This makes sure we're looking at things from all different angles before we just randomly go out and make decisions. We also conduct an annual engagement survey to get a broad sense of how everyone's feeling. And then to keep that momentum going, we follow up with pulse surveys and polls throughout the year. This helps us stay in tune, really, with what's going on in real time. For those who prefer to share their thoughts confidentially or not comfortable speaking up, in front of others, we do offer anonymous options as well. We use a third-party vendor that allows us to have a link they can go on and they can share any information they want and have their, anonymity protected. And then because we know that still more voices might need a little more encouragement to get those ideas out, we make a point of offering one-on-one conversations to gather insights, especially from those who might be impacted by decisions that we're going to make. And a huge part of our ongoing effort to include all the voices in the company is our IDEA Council. IDEA is an acronym for Inclusion, Diversity, Equity, and Accountability. We poll the team each year to find out which topics are most important to them and what they want to discuss. And then we use that feedback to guide a series of events and sessions that we host then throughout the following year. It covers a wide range of topics, everything from mental health and wellness to mentorship, women in leadership. We've discussed gender equity, unconscious bias, and so many more. I've been thrilled that we're not afraid to have those difficult conversations. And some of them, they're a little intense, but if you don't have that conversation, you don't learn and you don't grow. But no matter what our approach we take, we're so fortunate to have the incredible support and sponsorship and backing of our leadership team. They're involved in every aspect of these efforts. So it makes a huge difference in strengthening these efforts and making sure that they really resonate with the entire team.
It's one thing to profess, I guess, that culture matters and to share these things widely with team members. It's another to say, hey, we have someone that's passionate about our culture and wants to be here, basically wrote his own job description, and now we're going to bring in a culture specialist. And it is a completely other to go behind this leader leading culture and support all of the initiatives. We all have been in those places where the way that it's positioned isn't the way that it's followed up, but it sounds like you have no shortage of initiatives that help everyone find a seat at the table for where they can participate to be able to share their voice. That's really cool. At another point, I just know we're going to run out of time. I want to hear the cadence for all of these things. So I'd encourage leaders, if you're like, okay, how often are you doing the town hall or, the different, forums where you're bringing people together? That's a lot to manage, but it sounds like you all have it down and got a simple system. So I'd encourage anybody else that's listening, reach out to Joey to learn, because I will be too. Yeah, a follow-up podcast episode together on breaking all of this down. Well, Joey, I'd love if you could tell one of your favorite stories that illustrates gaining insights, feedback from, various voices throughout the organization. And then it helped you to solve a problem or achieve a goal that just was, aspirational, but because you were able to bring everyone together, there was this really cool collective success. What comes to mind?
I would love to. And I had a perfect example come straight to mind. One of my favorite stories about how feedback and insights really made a difference in the company is when we decided it was time to identify our core values and put them into writing. At this point, instead of leadership just dictating what those values would be, they did something amazing. They opened it up to everyone who wanted to be a part of the process. So over the next couple of months, we formed several focus groups that included everyone from frontline employees to managers, partners, and leadership as well. We all worked together to define the values that would guide our decisions and actions going forward. It was a true team effort. After the smoke cleared, the result was something that we're all incredibly proud of, our We Care core values. It's an acronym, and each represents a specific core value. We have winning mindset, empower the team, communicate and collaborate, act with integrity, respect the relationship, and excellence in execution. So this wasn't a top-down decision. It was something that we all contributed to, and it's proudly embraced by everyone on the team and those who work with us.
I love that so much. Going back to earlier, I will continue to remember this story because I think it's so powerful. You taking ownership of your career journey and making that decision to come to your leadership team and make a change. Something allowed you or enabled you to feel comfortable to do that, right? There's some places where even if you give it your best shot, it's like you're just shot down. So there's so many components that just make that magical thing that got this position at the table. I'm curious now, in passing the baton or helping the next person, like the Tim McGraw song, how do you help others, whether it's their first day, first week, maybe they're introverted and it's just hard for them. How do you help them take the action to share their voice?
My best advice for leading people to feel comfortable and sharing their opinions is to create an environment where they know that their voice truly matters. You have to start that right at the beginning. It starts with actively listening, really paying attention when someone speaks and showing that you value what they have to say. That's what encouraged me. People weren't just listening, they responded. And so that gave me a comfort level, which helps me help others. It's also important to lead by example. Be transparent in your communication, share your own thoughts and ideas openly, and be willing, this is the big one, to admit when you don't have all the answers. This sets the tone that it's okay to speak up, even if you're not 100% sure. Another key is to build trust. You should always follow up on the feedback you receive and let people know how their input has influenced decisions. When they see their ideas are taken seriously and acted upon, they'll be more likely to share again in the future. And then lastly, remember that everyone is different. Some people are more comfortable speaking up in a group. Others might prefer one-on-one conversations or anonymous options. So be flexible. Offer different avenues for sharing so everyone truly feels included. And by fostering a culture where every voice is heard and valued, create a space where people feel empowered to share their ideas and contribute to the success of the team.
I'm normally not one that likes to reference work teams as family. I think, my family is my family. My work team can feel like a family, but I don't like using that word interchangeably. But in this case, that is what it feels like in how you are describing what you're doing. It's like we're just being us.
Each year in the engagement survey, there is always a chance to list a word or multiple words that describe how you would describe where you work.
Yeah.
And then they form that into a word cloud. That's kind of a big thing now. Every year that we have done this, the main largest word in the middle that comes out is family. And since taking this role, I was so excited about that. I actually printed it off. I have it framed on my desk. I say it's my family picture because it's all of the positive words that people have chosen to describe our atmosphere and our culture.
That's so good. So, just don't hold back in reaching out and sharing that quick text message of encouragement to say, gosh, you were really good in that meeting today. Following up and checking in just to see how someone's doing. These simple efforts that are often overlooked because of corporate ego and because of how people, I don't know, like posture and whatever. It's just like, just drop all of it. Can we all just be real? And it's just, you can feel that in what you're sharing. And so I congratulate you for the role and what you're doing. And just I'm honored to have been able to share this episode and hope that our next deep dive is like going to come in a follow-up and that we don't have to wait till our next CultureCon live, but it's been a pleasure.
Well, thank you so much. I'm honored to have been able to participate today.